So, guess what day it is? New parts day. Yeah, some more parts came in. So let's dive onto the Cayman project and throw a few parts at it and see where it goes. Alrighty, so these are the new parts. So the new subframe for the back, I guess you can call it a subframe. The other ones, there were cracks in these pieces and that piece was bent. So I figured I'd just buy the whole assembly, throw it in, that way we know that everything is good and not all messed up. So right now, since it's assembled this way, we're not gonna remove that brace yet. We're gonna assemble it like this, and then just throw it in, put the control arms back on. And this is some additional pieces that were damaged in the car for the accident. So we got these two. They were still good on, but they actually came with this part kit. So say hi to Lola, the shop dog. Won't let me go. And of course she's in the shop, so she is dirty. I have to get a quick wash after this. So let's start by removing the old parts and get straight into it. So here's what we'll need to remove. So of course I didn't tighten this down the other day because I knew this had to come off. So for this side, we'll take this control arm off. The dog bone, I think they call it on this one, we're gonna take this off as well. So those two, then they should drop. And then we'll be able to remove this part here. So as you can tell, you can see a little bit of light right here. Well, this one is cracked. And this one I wasn't sure, but since I'm here, I'm replacing both. There's no point of just replacing one, might as well remove both. So we'll take apart these two bolts, remove that, do the exact same thing on this side, remove that, and then we should be in a position to put the new one in. Alrighty, so those are removed. Don't know if you've seen me struggle a little bit with the one on this side, but since it was all bent in, I actually needed to do a little relief cut here with a grinder in order to remove the lower control arm. And as you can tell, we've got a crack there, and yeah, it's pretty good that we're replacing it. And same thing with the other side. For the price these are, it's better off replacing it completely and messing with something that can be crooked. So let's go grab that and see if we can throw it in. And just like that, the new piece is in. So now we repeat the process. We'll put the control arms back into here. Hopefully they fit well. Once that is all mounted up in place, then we'll get rid of this because this will be in the way, and we'll get rid of the sway bar. The reason for that is easier to put the engine in and out, right? So that's where she be right now. So here we go. Control arms are back on. If I wanted to put the sway bar, I would be able to, but we got to take these 4 bolts for the sway bar, and that's going to be yanked off. And we'll take these 4 bolts for this cross brace, and we'll yank that off as well. So that's the next step. This won't be complicated at all. Take that off and set it aside for later. Here we go. So now we can clearly see that they are straight. Earlier they weren't even straight, like this one was actually tilted this way. So I'm happy that that is all said and done. And now we can actually work on mounting the engine. So as far as the engine goes, I got Jean to do some nice little plates. We'll have oh, that was noisy. So like this, right? So there's gonna be a metal piece here, metal piece here, and this just adds a lot of strength, right? So this will be welded. So the engine will be notched so we can slide back and forth a little bit. That way we can move it directly to the right spot. So we got 2 of these. 1 for each side, and then we got a bunch of these. So when you're welding some metal, this is going to be made with metal tubing, and this will add a lot of strength to it. So there is a dimple in here, so it does add some structural integrity to the metal, so it makes it stronger. And then we got this bend at the back. So let's just say, for an example, that this was going here. Well, this end would be chopped off, but this is how it would look, right? So it adds a lot of structural weight because it's going to be welded, like as you can see right here. And you can see the fitment, right? It makes a nice corner piece that adds a lot of structural integrity. So we've got a whole bunch of that. So there's going to be a lot of dimples on that per se. Pretty excited because I like dimples. I like the way they look. So now that that's there, what do we do? What do we do? So I think what we're gonna tackle now is we're gonna make some room for the crank pulley. So we'll dive over where I wanna cut. So as you can tell here, which if you watched one of our other videos, you would have heard me say that this is the e-brake cable. So in the other video, once I had the engine sitting, the crank pulley goes all the way up to here. Actually the crank bolt, so the pulley would go on top here. So there is a cavity under here. So I already removed the e-brake cables inside, and I loosened these up. So this will need to be relocated later on, find a place, but right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a little bit of this. Right now I don't have the crank pulley here, so I can't tell you exactly how much I need to cut. But I do know that this spot here needs to go. So we'll start by cutting this little piece off. So this will make a bigger tunnel here. Once we get the crank pulley, we'll see exactly what we need to cut. I would love to keep these mounts intact. This is where the engine bolted initially. That way we can tie this up in the new subframe, but time will tell on this one. Worst case, we're gonna have to cut into it. And there's a big possibility that we need to cut this whole side off in order to put the radiator, yeah. Woo, it's getting late, to put the alternator. So we will cut into this. I'll take the grinder with a zip cut and just make a quick cut here, quick cut under here, and here. So we can remove this and see exactly what we got to play with afterwards. We can still even cut into here as well, but I'll try to do as less cutting as possible. But at the end of the day, we need to find another spot for this big box. And here we go. So I removed a little piece. As you can tell, I just bent this back in because there's going to be some reinforcement that will probably be needed. I see some smoke on the inside, so I'll go check to make sure that nothing's on fire. But yeah, that should give us a little bit of clearance, so hopefully it's enough. Probably it won't be. We'll probably have to cut into this so we can relocate this a little further. But now I'll just go see what's that flame coming up on the inside. Uh-oh. And false alarm, no fire. So we're good. At this point, I can't tell if this is enough or not until we get the crank pulley. So we're gonna jump away from this for now. And what we're gonna concentrate on is determining, because there's gonna be a bar that goes here where the mounts will go. Do I know where it's gonna go exactly? No, not at this time. This is where we're gonna figure out a few things. So there's no point of reinventing the wheel with this bracket. It connects through there, and that's solid enough. It's a big piece of aluminum. I don't need to play with this a whole lot, but I need to make a bracket that will hold the front mount setup. So what we're gonna do is I'll take the grinder and grind a piece of this puppy out, just so I can make my bracket go that way. So right now, let's go a little bench and start grinding. I'm not gonna film this point. It's gonna be pretty boring. It's aluminum. It doesn't do any sparks. So we'll get back to you in a few seconds, and this will all be cut, hopefully. So here we go. What I did is I just took, it's a little hot. Took a piece that was here and removed that off completely, so my bracket will be able to slide into there. So for now, just got this, which will, I can see that that's not gonna work. I gotta trim a little more, and then I should be fine. So I'll trim this, and then we'll throw it on the car. So now that these are both in their position, I just step on my glasses. I really should start bringing that cart next to me. But yeah, as you can see, a little bracket here, and I got a little bracket right here. So I'm hoping that I can base myself on that in order to do the front mount. Slap that on top here for the e-brake, and we might as well roll in the motor. Well, I noticed that my camera doesn't film too well. I don't know if it's too bright in here or the GoPro, which is a new one. It's the Eero 9. I figured it'd be decent, right? But yeah, there's always lines and stuff, so that's something that I'll need to figure out. Guess I'll have to do a little bit of research. I noticed that there was some ISOs and all that mumbo jumbo that I don't know that needs to be changed. So hopefully in the next videos it will be clearer, and I don't know, it's just, it looks weird even in the playback, so I'm sorry for that. Jean has the exact same camera and it seems to have a better quality than mine, so not 100% sure. I'll have to play with that. But let's get back to the car. So those two braces that were cut, I just noticed that I'll need to remove them in order to put the engine. Once the engine's in its place, at that point we'll be able to put them on, make the subframe, etc. But again, we're still waiting on the crank pulley. Hopefully it shows up quick so we can see what the room is, and because I want the engine as far in as possible so we can get the axles in line as much as possible. So we're gonna run axle spacers one way or the other, but still we want to make everything work properly. So right now we got this cut. We'll pull the engine in and see approximately, just by looking at it, where it sits and what we need to do next. So let's grab that engine. Alrighty, so obviously we need to go down even a little more. but hard to show you. But the crank pulley will go here. So I'm thinking that should leave enough room, but maybe not on the height of it. So that we'll only know, hopefully, in the near future. Other than that, these are about, I'd say 2 inches back compared to stock. Obviously it's gonna go higher. We're gonna put the transmission as high as we can, and we'll run the spacer. I don't think we'll have any issues, but this still needs to go, I'm hoping, another 3/4 of an inch. So we'll be pretty much in the, close to the stock position anyways. And obviously the car needs to go down a little more, but we'll need to do a little bit of clearance here. It is one of the valve covers that is giving me a hard time at this point. I think I'll need to resort to go with a truck style valve covers. It might work out a little better. So we'll try that, but for now, we'll leave it at this. There's not much more I can do at this point. Still waiting on that crank pulley. Once we get that, we'll be able to put the engine right in its place, put the axles on, figure out the geometry, making sure everything is squared up, and then it's subframe time. So before we go, remember when I said the aluminum plate that goes here? We'll need to bolt it on and then drop the engine. Reason why we can't put them on and then put the engine is it's kind of in the way in the front of the engine. So yeah, we're getting there. Hopefully in the next video, we'll have a lot more progress when we get that nice good old LS4 crank pulley. We'll be all set. And again, we'll make a little list of the parts that we're using. Obviously the thing is to try to keep it as budget friendly as possible, so you can do it at home for cheap. You won't have to pay those high prices. We'll try to share with you where to get the cheapest, best parts to get in order to do this with your Porsche Cayman. But yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. And again, there ain't nothing to it but to do it.